Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. I'm Daggett, this is Daggett Designs, and in today's video we are drawing a Namakubi. Now I've covered Namakubi geisha in a previous video and that was in a neo-traditional style. Today we're going to be doing it Kabuki style. I've had a lot of requests to draw Kabuki or Kabuki masks. Well, Kabuki is a form of theatre that is centuries old out of Japan. The idea was that they would wear brightly coloured makeup with different markings that would represent age, gender, societal class, and they would also represent their mood or their character. Now, if you already know you're going to love today's video, make sure you smash that like button and go ahead and leave me a comment down below letting me know what you'd like to see in future videos. Now, let's go ahead and get straight into today's video by going to the overhead. Okay everyone, welcome back to the table. So we're starting with a piece of A4 sketch paper. I have a mechanical pencil to sketch our design and an eraser should we need it. So to start this design out, we're starting very similar to how we did our last Namakubi design, but I'm going to having this one facing down a little bit, and we're doing a male character. So we're going to start off by adding in an oval or a circle shape for the top part of the head. Once you've done this, you're going to cut the side plane of the head off just by adding in another oval or a circle to the side, like this. And then we can start establishing our planes. So I'm going to have my center plane angled down like this. So coming around the middle of my circle, making sure I curve as I come around. Let me just tidy that up a little bit. To curve across the front of the face, I'll drop a line down the top of my circle here on the side, through the middle of that circle, running forwards like this. And then that will wrap around the front of my oval here. Now at the top and the bottom of the circle, you're going to draw lines that come around the front of your circle here from the side. This will give us the hairline and the placement for our nose area there. And then you want to drop down about the same width from there for the bottom of our chin. So maybe like here. Now to join up the front side of the face, we'll just come up with a curved line from our chin area there. And for the back of it, we'll just bring a line back and up and join that in just behind the central line on this side plane here. To get the placement for your ear, we're looking at this quarter of our side circle here, the side plane here. We're just going to bring in a little rough ear shape in that little side area there. Now this top line here, this is our eyebrow line. So we're going to drop in the eyebrow ridges. I'm going to basically bring a line down and I'll bring that back and around like this. And I might add a little second fold to that one as well, like that. And then our eyebrow is going to sit just above that and curve up and back towards here. The eyebrows on this guy are not realistic. This is sort of part of the makeup aspect of these Kabuki face paints. Now I'm going to have a little gap before the center line there, and I'll bring another little curve in. This will be the start sort of portion of where the nose will start. So I'll just bring that curve down like that. And then you can bring the other eyebrow out from the other side. Create the other side there. And of course the other side eyebrow just coming up the head the same way. Okay, now basic points for adding in your nose. I'm going to bring a little curve down from one side of my eyebrow there like this. And I'm going to just draw in a couple of little circles to indicate the end of the nose. So I'll draw a circle in here for the tip of the nose. And then up and slightly back, I'll draw a couple of smaller circles on either side that will indicate our nostrils like this. So you've got that 3 circle happening there. And then you can pretty much link them up with a line that comes out and down and forward from the top portion of the nose there. And that can just wrap around the bottom portion of the nose. And then to do your nostrils, I like to bring a little curved line forward from the nostril and then bring it up and around to the front. Sometimes I'll throw in a second little fold there. Now to do your eyes, we're going to drop in another line just below this one, wrapping around the front like this. I'm going to sort of follow along that line to do our eyes. They're going to have a slightly slanted look towards the nose here. So just bringing a line from just before the nose back and under like this, and then you can come up, back down, and flick it off at the end like that for our eye. And you'll want to play around with the shape on that a little bit just to get it right. Now I also just like to add this little detail underneath the eye, which is just a little fold like this. That just makes the eye look a little bit more three-dimensional. We'll come around to the other side and do the exact same thing for the other eye. The only difference is the bottom portion of the eye will be slightly obscured because of the nose there. And then you can just drop in a couple of pupils facing off towards the left, or pretty much wherever you'd like to have them facing. Now it depends on your design if you'd like to add an iris or not. With a lot of these traditional Japanese designs, they don't have an iris, they just have a pupil. So I just add a little pupil for this guy. And then on either side of the nose, I like to just bring a line down like this to indicate where the sort of cheek sits. And from the other side where the nostril is, you can just come out and down as well for that side of the mouth. And our mouth is going to sit in the upper portion of this area. So it's going to sit roughly the middle of the mouth to be here, like this. And it'll come out to about the center of the eye. So from here, you can just find the middle of your eye and drop a little line down. And the other side will just remain as is. So that little box is where your mouth is going to sit. So I'm going to start by bringing a line up. That's going to curve down and back up. And after it gets up to this corner area, we can just bring that down towards our line. We can add a top lip to this just by bringing a line up and around. Now you just want to drop a line down and follow your curve around. This will be for your top row of teeth. And then we're going to come forward from the back here. So forward. And then bring that across like this. And then up. And then you can add your second line in like that. So that gives you the two sort of rows of teeth. For your bottom lip, you can bring a curved line around. Just like this. Now the way I like to do the teeth, I like to come right underneath the nose and treat that as the two front teeth there. And then coming towards the right, I'll split these up into even boxes just by doing some straight lines. And then towards the left, I'll get them to go slightly skinnier as they get towards the edge there. As we're sort of seeing it curve around, you'll be seeing a little bit less of the tooth. Now to link up all of the teeth, I'm basically going to do little V's like that at the top of each of the lines. This will indicate that little bit of gum that's showing between the teeth. And I'll do that for both the top and the bottom section. Now, of course, you can show more or less gum depending on how big you made this space for the teeth to show. And then in between the teeth, I'll do the opposite. So just a little V coming up towards the top will give us the split in between these top teeth. As I come towards these edge teeth, you can actually add a little line that separates the teeth there. You can do this same thing for the bottom row. Now detailing our ear, we're basically going to add in a more solid shape to it. Just following that around. I like to add a little bit of a point to the top of it like this. And then we can add in this little hollow in the middle, bringing that up and around. This, and then bring a line back down and around. And then on the inside of that, I just do these two opposing curves for the inside portion of the ear there, the detail on the inside of the ear. And of course you can study a real ear and play around with that, but for a traditional style design or a tattoo style design, I try to keep this a bit more simple. And I'm going to bring a line out from the outside of the eye like this. And that's going to curve out for our cheek. And it'll sort of taper back in towards our mouth like this. We'll come out from just behind it and bring a line down and forward for our chin. And you'll just play around with the shape of that chin as well. Make sure you're happy with it. You can bring that down and around, and then follow that back up into the shape of your jaw there. For this portion of the head, we're going to come out just above the eye for a little bit of an eyebrow bump. And then we'll go smooth up to the top. And I like to flatten the top out a little bit, not have it so round. Now to add in this portion of our neck for the Namakubi part of our design, I'll just bring around another line like this. So it's like a fold in the flesh of the chin there. And then you can add in your torn area of neck flesh, and this is going to be the same as the last Namakubi we did. You're just playing around with the different shapes and making it look rough and textured. Okay, once you've got the basic sketch out for your design, we can start looking at doing some of the hair. Now the hair is going to be very similar to our geisha in style. There's going to be a few variations. This is more of a male haircut for that era. We're going to come just beneath our eye here, and I'll come out and towards the top of the head with a curve like this. That's going to indicate the hair from that side of the head that's visible. And I'm going to come around to the other side, and I'll bring a line up to indicate our hairline. So just coming up to where the eyebrow sort of ends, and coming back down towards and in front of your ear for that sideburn sort of area. And then I'll bring a curve from just above where the hairline starts. I'll come out and around and down behind our ear like this with a curve, sort of similar to what we did on the other side of the head. Now in reality, this wouldn't be visible the way that this is, but I like to show a little bit of it. It's just aesthetically pleasing in my opinion. To do the sort of shaved portion at the top here, I'll add a little loop in where our hairline sort of sits, like this. And you can just mess around with how you want that to look. I like to just shade it grey and add some dots around the edge to sort of show that it's that stubbly sort of hair. But you can play around with it. There's lots of different ways to do it. Now just up the back of all of this, we're going to add in a little hair tie like this, and we'll add some bunched up hair. So for the hair tie, just like a little rectangle shape, I guess, with a few little folds in it. So just play around with your lines a little bit there. And then you can add in basically a large curve around that comes like this, like a circle at the back. And that'll have an inner loop like that. Now to fill in the hairlines on this, I'm just going to do small curved lines that follow the shape of the hair bundles, exactly the same way that we did this on our Namakubi geisha. We're going to do the same thing for this side, coming forward onto the front portion of the head here, or the face. Just curving around and flicking it off just after that line that we drew to indicate the hairline. Now as we get down in front of the ear, I'm going to start to trail some of these hairs off and forward for flowing hairs that are sort of blowing in the wind and going onto his face. These are to look quite messy, and you can really add a little bit more character and expression with all of these sort of messy hairs going on. It gives it a little bit of more a dynamic look and just makes it look less frozen. So I like to go ahead and add in these loose strands or loose little bundles of hair that are flowing around. For the bundle that is at the back here, you're going to follow a curve all the way around for your individual hair strands, just following them around the little bundle here. And all of these little lines will be done with a small fine liner when you ink this one. Once you've done all your lines following that curve, you're going to come to this inner loop and follow the curve back around. So these small lines will go in the opposite direction to these ones here, so it's wrapping around and behind itself. Now once you've done this, you've pretty much finished the sketch portion of this design. I'm going to go ahead and transfer it to watercolor paper, and then I can run you through a couple of little tips and tricks on how I outline this one. Alright, so I've gone ahead and outlined our design, or I've inked our design using fine liners and transferring it to watercolor paper using my light pad. Now I just want to run over the line work a little bit. I used a 1.2 size for the bold lines around the head. I used a 0.5 for all of the other lines, including all of the detail lines. and the stippling above the top of the head here to create the hairline. And then I went ahead with a brush marker, my Copic brush marker, to do the eyebrows and the black makeup underneath the eyes and around the edge of the mouth here. Now you'll notice at this point this does not look like a kabuki, and that is because we haven't applied the red makeup yet. I'll be doing that with a brush and our red ink. That having been said, we'll look at our supplies here. So I've got my ink palette set up with my Liquitex acrylic inks. Today I'm using carbon black. I have a grey wash which is made of carbon black mixed with water. I have phthalo green in a yellow shade. That's just going to be for the little hair tie. I have Pyrrole red, and we're going to be using that quite a lot. I have a yellow orange azo. We're going to use that a little bit inside the eyes. And then I've also got a sort of a flesh tone, which I've made using a mix of the yellow orange azo, a drop of orange, vivid red orange, and a little bit of muted pink. Now, I'm not the best at creating skin tones, so you'll have to forgive me there, and you can go ahead and create whatever skin tone you would like. I've got 3 brushes that I'm using today. These are all Taklon synthetic brushes. I have a number 5, a number 6, and a number 0.5. You could get away with pretty much any sizes you're comfortable using. And I've also got a glass of water for rinsing out my brushes and to assist with blending. So as always, we're going to start with our black shading. And on this one, the most of the black shading is in the hair. I'm going to flip this guy around and start with this little bundle of hair on the outside here. So I'm going to go ahead and start by adding a little bit of black to my hair at the base here. And I'm going to bring that up and around following the shape of my hair. I want the highlight to sit sort of in the middle. So I'm going to start marking out the shape of that highlight. Like so. Just following the curve of the hair around. And then I can take my blending brush and I'll gently feather out that edge to a grey, and then blend that up and through softly into the hair, and you want to get that to white. From here, what I can do is turn my page around, and I'll take a little bit of black again, and I'll come down from the top this time, again following my curve around like so. And then I can take my blending brush once again, feather out that edge, and blend that down towards our highlight point. So now you'll have a nice transition from black through grey and to a highlight, which will be white, and then back to grey and back into black for the rest of the hair there. So we'll start by applying black pretty much all the way down in front of the ear from the top here. So coming down, right down to in front of our ear. And we'll just leave that as it is for now, like that. I'll just turn my page to give me a better angle. And then I'm going to come to the front here and just feather that out gently, blending it into the front of the hair there. This will soften it up before the hairs actually join onto the face. Now from here, I'm going to work on bringing that black back up towards the back of the ear a little bit. And I want to curve that around with the shape of the head a little bit too. So just curving that up and towards the top, like so. And then I can take my blending brush, feather that out, and get a nice smooth blend to grey, and eventually up through to white. So we're now going to apply black to the back portion of the hair here, leaving us a little highlight portion in the middle there. So go ahead and start applying your black. You're going to follow the contour of your head once again, following the shape around. And then you can take your blending brush, feather out that whole edge, and then work on gently blending that through. Blend that grey forward towards your highlight point. Now for the portion of hair that's at the top, we're basically doing the same thing. We're going to have the highlight running around the center here. So I'm going to bring my black up to about this point, and I'll just curve that around with the shape of my hair once again. and color everything below that solid black. Now once you've done that, you can take your blending brush, feather out that edge, and then get a nice smooth blend up from black through to grey and through to white. Now I'm going to come around from the back edge here and follow that same shape around for the top of the hair. Feather out my edge and blend that down towards my highlight. And now for the little section on the inside, you're going to shade everything in reverse, starting at the base like this. Blending that up towards the center of your curve, and then coming down from the top side with a bit of black as well, and blending that down, feathering and blending that down towards the highlight. Now the black shading for the hair is basically complete. I like to add a little bit of black to the base of my wispy hairs at the edges here, just a little bit of black, and blend that out and forward to grey. This will just help those wispy hairs look a little bit more full. It's really not necessary to do this. If you want to, you can just leave them as lines. I like to add a little bit of grey to them and make them look a little bit more filled out, but you certainly do not have to do this. So we're now moving over to grey wash shading. I'll rinse out my inking brush here, and we're going to primarily be working with the shading brush or your largest brush for your black or grey wash sections. So I'm going to come in and do this part of the stubble on top of the head, and that's going to be pretty much solid grey wash for the most part. So just coming in with your grey wash, and we're using a medium sort of grey wash today. So just bringing that in for the stubble area on top of the head, and you can come back in with a second layer afterwards to darken it up, and I'll show you how that looks as well. And now you can go ahead and take your grey wash and shade this like a normal design. You're basically coming in and you can add all these grey values in where you think there should be darker areas of shading. So this is going to be very similar to how you would shade pretty much any other design, but you're using grey wash instead of black for your tones and values here. So I guess this is a slightly more realistic style of shading. Now I'm also just doing a little bit of our grey wash shading in and around some of the details on the face, you know, the creases on the eyebrows here, and this will help add a little bit of strength to the actual details around the eyes and the details of the face, basically just by adding a little bit of shading. Once your grey wash is dried, you can come in with a second layer, just coming straight over the top of the grey wash you've already done, and then blending it out in areas where you'd like it to transition between the two greys. This can be used to darken up certain areas, so I'm coming in and around the eyes where I want there to be some darker tones and values in here. You want the eyes to be dark and, you know, like a nice focal point in there, so I like to bring some darker shadows into those areas. Okay, now once you've done all those areas of grey, we're going to come in and apply our flesh tones. We're only doing the neck and the ear, and then the white makeup is going to sort of start to take over. So just taking a little bit of your flesh tone. Now this is diluted really heavily with water to make sure it's not too orange. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not the best at working with flesh tones or creating flesh tones. It's not something I've done a lot of. So my flesh tones are going to look a little bit orange. I'm sure a lot of you are going to be a lot better at creating a more realistic flesh tone, but like I said, it's not something that I have personally played around with a lot. It's something I'd like to improve on. So I'll come in and around the neck with my flesh tones as well, and then the portion where it joins onto the face, I'm going to blend that forward and onto the face a little bit, and there'll be like this soft transition between the face and the flesh tones there. Applying a little bit more underneath our chin, and then just using water to pull that out and around the base of the neck here to create the torn up flesh at the bottom of the neck. Okay, once you've done your flesh tones, we can go ahead into our yellow orange azo to do the eyes. So we'll go into yellow orange azo. We're going to start at the back of the eye, And then we'll blend that forward gently, following a round shape towards the pupil. This will have like a glow effect towards the back of the eye there, and it's something I like to do with a lot of these designs. I really like the way that it looks. Now once you've done that, if you'd like to, you can take a small drop of Pyrrole Red and apply that to the back of your yellow here, the very end of the yellow. And then gently blend that through, and that'll give a slightly darker orange hue to the back of your yellow shading in the eye there. Now from here, just washing your brush out and going in to your phthalo green and using that to color in your hair tie. Now I like to leave some skin gaps on here or some breaks in there, so just between the folds of the hair tie there, I'm just leaving some little gaps. Not 100% necessary, but aesthetically I think it looks nice. Okay, you've washed your brush out, so go into some water and dip a little bit of Pyrrole Red onto your brush, and this will give us a watered down Pyrrole Red that we can use in between the teeth here as the pink of the gums. And you can also go ahead and use that same color on the outside of the eyes here for that little fleshy part on either side of your eyes. Now, like I said, this is yet to look like a kabuki because we haven't applied our red colors yet. We're gonna go ahead and do that now using a middle-sized brush. So this is a number 5 and our Pyrrole Red. Now, you're basically gonna create patterns on the face. Now, doing some research, I found out that the patterns indicate different things, such as your age, gender, your characters, your personality, things like that, and also different types of feeling. So, you know, blue can be for a sad character, red is more like anger and passion, and all the different colors that indicate different various personality traits. I think red aesthetically looks the best. I also don't know the way that they do the traditional markings or what the traditional markings mean. I like to just go with what aesthetically looks the nicest. And I believe that's probably the best way to do it, unless you're going for something super traditional and you want to know the meaning behind it, then just doing what looks aesthetically pleasing is going to work out really nicely. So I'm going to come underneath the eyes here with the markings, and I'm pretty much just applying lightly and then applying more pressure to widen the line, and then to taper it back off, I'm releasing a little bit of that pressure. So it's a pretty straightforward method for doing these markings. I want to have one that follows my cheek shape around to the nose here. So I'm going to come around, follow that around and taper it off. And then you can just tidy it up like this. Now, working with the acrylic inks, they sometimes won't be dark enough. I just want to layer them a little bit to darken them up and correct any mistakes. I also want to have someone that runs up and through the eyebrow area here. So I'm going to start this here, and I'm going to bring it up and through like this. And I think I want to split that off into 2. I think that will look really cool like this. And I'm going to bring that down underneath the creases here in front of the eye. Just working around those creases and following the contours of them. Bring it down into that area of the nose. So you can see I'm following the contour of all of those little bumps. And I want to bring that across the nose as well. I think that will look cool. I see quite a few different kabuki face paint designs that run across the nose like that. It looks really nice. You have to try and match these up. They're usually done symmetrically. So I'll come up the other side of the nose here. Bring that up around that part of the eyebrow. And then I'll trail that off the same way that we did the other one, like this. Now there's also going to be some red applied to the lips here. I'm going to purposely leave some areas white. Just bringing the red down to where I want it to sit and leaving the other parts of the lips white there. Might leave a little white gap at the bottom of this one. And then last things last, I want to add this little ring of red to the chin here, like I said, you can either find the traditional face paints and try to copy them as closely as possible for your design, depending on what you want to do, or optionally you can do what's most aesthetically pleasing to you. It may not look as traditional, but it can look really nice. Okay, from here we're just going to add in those little special effects that we did on the last one as well. Just coming around the base of the neck here with your red to create this splatter look. And then if you'd like to, you can always soften those out just by blending them a little bit around the edges so they don't look so harsh and cartoony. And you're going to basically create this red effect all up and around this neck area. And now from this point, you can either come in with a really fine liner red Sharpie, or in this case, I'm just using a 0.5 size brush. And I'm just going to come in and do some additional little bits of detail red. And that is basically it for this one, guys. For those of you that requested a Kabuki, I really hope this answered your questions. And for the rest of you, I hope you give this one a go. It was a hell of a lot of fun. And with that having been said, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below letting me know what you'd like to see in future videos. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye. If you like the content that I make and you'd like to support the channel, make sure you smash that like button. And hey, while you're at it, check out one of these other great videos.